Hello, this is TDA, dog trainer for real life situations. In this video, I'm going to be showing you one of my training sessions with a student of mine, Groovy. And this video is basically what I do on Sundays or days when I don't feel like training, when we're not actually having a training session, but it's just a way of keeping the dog engaged and keeping the dog occupied and not having to leave the dog idle throughout the day. So this is what I normally do on Sundays or days when I don't feel like working out or training. So it's also a training session, but it's not deliberate. This is more like a play session, and in this video you see me using a plastic can, an empty plastic can, and a piece of rag, and this is all I'm going to be using for this engagement exercise, which I believe is the most proper and ideal thing to call it. This is an engagement exercise where you keep the dog engaged, you play with the dog, and then you add some kind of obedience command into it to make it worthwhile. So you're not necessarily just playing with the dog, you're also doing some kind of recap with the dog, going through all the behaviors that have already been taught to the dog or the command that has already been taught to the dog, and making sure that the dog can go from play mode to obedience. This exercise is very essential for proving behaviors and commands that have already been taught to the dog, because not only is the dog playing, but you can stop the dog and give the command, and the dog is going to perform that behavior or respond to that command. Another thing again with this exercise is it makes the dog more active and engaged in the training, as opposed to using only food or just relying on play alone. So when you mix play and obedience, it strengthens the behavior that has already been taught to the dog. Also, it has an effect in the speed of the response to the command. So when I'm playing with my dog is all hyped up, my dog is powered up, and the dog is in a playful and joyful mood. The dog is more engaged and more active, and then all of a sudden I stop and I give the dog a command. It makes the dog to be able to think and not act impulsive all the time. So when my dog is trying to grab the toy or grab the rag or grab the plastic can, I remove it from the dog and I make the dog to miss. And when the dog misses the item, I pause, I give the command to sit. And the moment the dog sits, I present the toy again. So now it teaches the dog that, oh, if I sit, I'm going to get the reward. So this makes it not only a physical activity for the dog, but also a mental activity for the dog. It is mentally challenging because the dog has to now critically think and make decisions. Another key benefit of engaging in this exercise is when it comes to strengthening the relationship between you and your dog. This is an exercise that builds trust between the dog and the handler, because when you are playing with the dog and then you pause the dog or you give the dog a command and the dog sits, not only does it tell the dog that if I sit I'm going to get the reward, but it makes the dog to be more engaged and fast, because the dog knows that you're going to give the reward each time he or she performs the behavior or the command that you just issued. So it builds trust for you and your dog, and it makes the dog also fast because the dog anticipates the presentation of the reward. And when the dog anticipates the presentation of the reward, the dog is quicker to perform the behavior. The dog is quicker to perform the behavior because the dog know and believe that immediately the behavior is performed, he or she is going to get the reward. So you see the dog going very fast each time they want to enter that position. Let's say sit down or whatever command you give to the dog. And then finally, how you present the reward is very important. This is going to have an effect in the speed and response of the dog. So if you've really been attentive to this video, you realize that when I put the dog in the sit command and I want to present the reward to the dog, I make the dog to chase the reward. I make the dog come for the reward. I don't present the reward or give the reward to the dog. I don't go in and give the dog. I make the dog come for the reward. This is very important. It makes it fun for the dog. It makes it exciting for the dog. It makes the dog to work for the reward and not just having you present the reward to the dog. So you have to take note of these little things that make a very huge difference. Do not just present the reward to the dog, make the dog chase the reward. It makes the dog faster and more engaged. And then finally, know when to stop the exercise. When your dog is no longer coming for the reward or being so engaged and active in the training, this is an indication that you have stayed too long in the exercise or the dog is beginning to get tired. When you notice that, it is very important that you end the exercise at that point.